Hey guys, how are ya? Grego's here. Whew, what are we working on today? Something a bit different, maybe. Quite common in combi world. If you're watching from the States, you know. Oh, hang on, how clean's that lens? There you go, see if that's any better. Sweaty t-shirt will clean it every time. If you're watching from the States, you guys call these buses, you know, like a school bus, which is weird, but anyway. These combi vans, as they're known here, combi is just like, if you want to go into details, was a budget model. They're all transporters. Anyway, forget about it. So we just call them combis over here. So quite common in combi world was pop tops for camping. In the UK, I think they just call the whole bus campers, even when they don't have a pop top. But this one's got I think it's a Sopru or something like that. Some minor, they're all pretty much the same. This one's got one a little bit different. This is more of a homemade one, hence the smaller hole. So you can see the pop tops down there. But I got the base here, and as part of the, you know, the only way to restore these properly is to get the pop top off every time, right? Because it's always pretty nasty underneath, 99% of the time anyway. So when you get the top off, you've got to look at what sort of life it's had. Now the owners are going to keep this sock, as we call it, because it's still in great condition. It's got all its zips and everything there, so it's all works well. So why go bonkers and replace all that, which is a big job in itself. So, but as you can see, the standard, this is where it screws down through the roof. We've trimmed the little side pieces off because that's it's worked out over time that's a design fault, and the reason why they all rusted out in the gutters is because of this little side piece that was on there would trap water underneath and just allow it to rust. So you can see here, tiny little cracks, not too bad there at each screw hole, but around here I sanded back these areas that had big cracks, and you can see the movement there, particularly nasty one here, right, and one in the corner here. So what I've done is gone through and I've just sanded that with a bit of 40 grit on the DA. The whole thing's going to be sanded and painted, but I want to concentrate on the cracks that need a bit more than just body filler, you know, like you can put a bit of body filler in these channels here, but this here, if you just put body filler in that, it's just going to crack again. So, and this here is quite a chunk, so you can see where the old screw hole was there. So we'll repair this all with fiberglass properly, and then it can just drill another hole for that. So the fiberglass repairs we're going to do is it's going to be basically repaired from the inside. That's where you can see all the fiberglass netting. So you can load that up there to strengthen it, and then once that's done, then you can like pour some resin down in the crack and then fill it and all that. So we're going to do the base and the pop top, the top itself, the top part of the pop top. This is it here. Looks like the original sort of gel coating is wearing a bit thin, but it's actually in pretty good nick, except for this thing here is a bit of a mystery. They must have had a wood fire stove inside their combi at one stage. See, stuff like this can just be filled. That will certainly have no problems, that'll last. This piece here, yeah, we might put a little bit of fiberglass in there. So, and the seal that we put on there is way better. They often just had these epoxy, bloody, what do you call it? It's bloody, oh. Well, anyway, it's, you know, the stuff's got a wire in it to form over the top of that, protect that edge. But it's just a hard surface along the bottom. But what you need is the stuff with the rubber cushion on the bottom, and so that when the pop drops, the top drops down, the cushion sits against the top of the base and in the gutters of the roof, and just creates a nice seal, so to stop any moisture and whatever getting in underneath. So it's all about, you know, that's another thing that we do here. Yeah, we do a polyurethane seal all the way around. I know that's not standard. Sometimes they just get a soft rubber seal, has a bit of a bead on the front, and that sits under this edge here down to the gutter, and then it's sort of screwed down on top of that. But I think polyurethane is a better option, better again. So you basically want to keep all the moisture out between this and the roof underneath. You know, you go to all the effort to make everything fresh and the gutters all clean and nice paint and all the rest, then, you know, why wouldn't you just want to keep it that way? Keep it in great condition, and that's the best way of doing that, is to keep the moisture out. So yeah, I'm going to run through I'm going to show the repairs of what we do on this thing, because I don't recall seeing a video anywhere on it on YouTube or whatever. So I thought, if you're doing this yourself at home, you might as well learn how we do it anyway. Other people might do it differently, but this is how we do it. So let's do that, eh? I'm just going to run through. I'll be switching this on and off, and I'll put together a video at the end of it. So okay, that's all for now. Yeah, right, we're back here. So you saw before the cracks that I dug out. Yeah, like this one here. It's an example there. So what I've done, I've flipped it upside down, and I've just put some tape on the outside of how the cracks are going to go. Just so that when you brush the fiberglass resin on, that you don't lose a heap of it. It's actually going to fill into that crack. So the only thing I'm concerned about is this difference here. Should be more like level like that, instead of setting it in place where it's out. So I might put a ruler or something across there and clamp it on to keep this like level. Right, so what I've done is gone with the mini grinder. I've done these as well because these all had a little bit of cracking around the hole, so I might as well go over it and re-drill a fresh hole. So I've just used this handy little Rolock sander, so it's an air powered one, and I've just roughed up the fiberglass resin on the inside there, so it's going to have a bit of grip. So I've blown it off, blown the dust off. So now I will clamp this up. I think it's only this one that's really, yeah, that one's sitting pretty flush, and the others are pretty fine. They're all sitting okay for where they will be, because there'll be a seal across there. So I'm going to yeah, fiberglass the area, but yeah, I'll just get this one level first. I'll be happier if that's done. So yeah, I'll be back. Righto, we're back. So what I've done is, I'll just sort of float you around. I've worked out the size of the hole. Oh, hang on, tangled. Where there's a small hole, I've just got a little bit of fiberglass mesh. So I just cut that with scissors. I've worked out I did need to clamp this area here. So I'm using a welding clamp, but I don't want to fiberglass that clamps to that, so I'm going to put a couple of pieces in between it, and then when it's set I might do a second layer. Might not have to too. So you just cut the appropriate size mesh to suit the size of the crack, so you make it larger than the crack obviously. Here's a heap left over that I've had from other jobs, so I'll just keep that in the bucket next time. So you can buy these fiberglass repair kits. It's got everything you need in there, including gloves. So this is the resin catalyst. So that's your resin. This is the stuff that makes it go hard. And it is, according to this, 20 drops of this to 50 mils of this. Now this is a 250 mil container, and there's about 50, it's about 1/5 of the way up. So I'd say there's about 50 mil in there, give or take a tiny bit. You got to get it pretty close, but it's not, you know, it's not sheep stations at stake. So let's count out. So you got to have your fiberglass pre-chopped. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh, it's there. Get yourself a brush, right? Because the idea is you've got to dip the brush in here, dab it on the area, stick the matting over the top, and then put more resin over the top. Right, so let's see. And I'm just going to move the camera over there and you can sort of hopefully get the idea of it. Let's see how close to 20 drops. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and a bit more for good measure. If you put too much, it dries so fast that you can't use it. So let's see if you can see that. Hopefully you're not going to overheat there. So I've put that resin in, so I'm going to give it a stir now. That will start going off pretty quick, so you've got to work pretty quick. So there was a crack on the corner here. So I'm going to put this over the top. I might just put it across like that. Alright. Now I'll go over the top with the resin, and because it's got resin on each side of it, it should flatten down. It shouldn't lift off. So then the idea is to make sure that you can virtually see right through your matting, and that means you've got all the air bubbles out. So I'll put this piece in, go in there. Hopefully this works. Just, you got to have it all at the right level. Like when they make these things, they have a giant mold on there and they just lay the fiberglass over the top and roll it out. But we're just doing some repairs. So this is where that big crack was. So I'm hoping this works and that I can just pull the clamps off once this is set, and the clamps don't get stuck, hopefully. There you go. Doesn't matter if it goes over the edge a bit, because you can trim that off. Oh. Don't know how this is going to go. It's a bit of an experiment. Well, I know how the fiberglass is going to go. That part's on the experiment, but just to try and get the two sides of the big crack level is the hard part. And this welding clamp is great, but I don't want it to get stuck in place. So just going to go over the top of that there. It's bonding with the fiberglass that's underneath. Let's have a go at this big one over here. I don't know whether you can see. Now, when you buy these kits, it often comes with a full set of like a set of rubber gloves, and that's definitely recommended. So right, now is the trick. Tricks to get it down so that it stays down, not move around on you. So it's just a matter of getting enough resin on it and then pushing the air out of it, pushing the fiberglass matting down there like so. Pretty much it should mould to the shape that's underneath. So it's fiberglass, very versatile. A lot of people will use it even on budget. Move that around there. Budget rust repairs. They haven't got a welder and no access to any sort of tools. You can patch a substantial hole with fiberglass. Of course, it's not recommended, but it's better than having a hole there, isn't it? So, because I've gone over the crack part, which is on the end. Righto, so let's see how this goes. Trying to get as close as possible without the camera being in the sun. I don't like it too much. So, done all the others. I've trimmed them all up at the edge with a razor blade, and they've gone really well. So let's see how this one goes. If I remove the clamp, woo, come off all right. Just trim this excess off the end. It's nice and hard. There you go. That was good. That was worth doing. So I'll pull this tape off. Could sand those off as well, the little edges, but that is actually, that's pretty good. I don't think I'll need to add any extra onto that. That's all molded in, the strength. This one here has come up nice and flat as well. So for a little repair like that, that was quite successful, I feel. So now I've got to try and flip this over. So I'm here by myself. I don't know how this is going to go. Oh, do you reckon I should give it a crack? Oh, jeez, camera. Righto. So, I wonder if I got in underneath it and tried to manhandle it around. So let's give it a crack, Just clear everything off it so I don't make a big mess. So I'm glad I've done it that way now. That's the proper way. Like sometimes when there's just a small crack on the outside and no big splits, you just V out the crack and put in a bit of filler, because you know, fiberglass filler, because it has a little bit of flex and it works quite well. But these ones were deep enough, and that section was cracked out enough to warrant putting some actual fiberglass product in there. So alright, I'm going to give this a crack. Let's see if I can. Gotta get right in the middle for this to work. Oh. Don't know whether this is going to work. How's that? Yeah, all right. Not really graceful, but you know, did the job. So, just shorten that down a bit. So you can see here on the inside, oh, this is the outside now, the outside of the base. You got nice, it's all joined together now, and that's fiberglass resin in there. Same in there, all secure now, so I will buzz over that again. Oh, sorry. Yeah, see these ones here, just got the tiny little bit on the end, which basically by the time you put the seal on, you don't actually even see those. Where else did we go? Yeah, so these are the ones here that were worst cracks, so I've got to re-drill the holes through there, add a bit of fiberglass filler on there, and there is the piece that all come away. Now I've got my line good there because I fastened it, secured it, so I'm going to dig away at the face of that a bit, enough for the filler to grip, and yeah, and same in there. So now I'm going to rough up the surface on the outside, and that'll be how we're going to fix that. It'll be a good key, as in it'll be scratched up enough, a good place for purchase for the next layer of filler. So well, I'm going to put some fiberglass filler in there first. So right, so what I've done, I've gone back over with my little sander, the Rolock, and I have like V'd out the cracks, sanded the surrounding area, and dug back into the fiberglass a bit. So I've got a good purchase there, even on the little cracks on the ends there, even though probably a bit overkill to fill them, but I'm going to do it anyway. So this is the product I'm using, U-Pole Fiberlite. So sandable fiberglass filler, bridges holes, can be sanded and shaped. Sands and shapes pretty well. So this is the hardener that comes with it. So that will be ideal. It's just a little bit more flexible than normal body filler. And yeah, so we'll whack a bit on and just smooth it in the worst, like, even if you overfill it a bit, and we can re-sand it so that only this stuff only goes into the crack itself. So you just want to mix it so that it's uniform, one colour. So it sort of goes from a cream, but with the red hardener it ends up like a light pink colour. Right, once you know you've got it mixed right through, in fact, it looks like the top part of the pop top's been rubbing on that section. They mustn't have had a proper seal on the bottom. We're going to change that anyway. So I'm just leaving a bit of excess there that can be sanded out. Some more of that down there. Right. Stuff can go off pretty quick, so Better off to do your large areas first. Come back to the little small holes afterwards. So this is very strong stuff. Like grips really well, and sands easy enough. Like you definitely don't want to use refined sandpaper on it. You want to use a nice coarse one. Probably can't see now, I suppose. Sorry about that. All a bit shaky. Very unprofessional. So, smooth it out close to the shape that you need. But don't worry about getting it perfect. So that's that done. Spreading a bit of excess on that. Right, so that's already starting to go off. So you definitely want to clean it off your board and off your blade. So it's why I usually have 3 blades actually. Bigger ones than this. This is only for small little cracks like this, but if I'm filling larger areas, I have 2 big blades and a small one. I use the small one to clean the bigger blades. But I mix with one and then use a separate clean one to apply the filler. But yeah, I'll show you that in another video. So. Okay, so now give that probably barely 10 minutes to dry, and I can buzz over that, and then I will sand the whole thing. I'll sand the whole thing probably with like 80 grit or something, and then I'll check over what needs doing, if it needs a bit of just normal body filler on any areas then. So easy peasy. Right, yeah, so I've gone through, where have I put it now? Gone through with the roller, just hitting all the areas that had the fiberglass filler on it. So it's almost flush with the surface now. Can probably just do with a little bit of smoothing up. So now we move on to the DA. Dual action sander, and that's got an 80 grit disc on it, because you really want to break through all the top layer, all the dead skin cells, so to speak, of the gel coat fiberglass. So yeah, so basically we hit this with the 80 and go over the whole thing. Obviously there's a lot less work in the base than there is the top. So the top obviously is filled right across the top here, so it's like doing the roof of a car. It's a big job. So, but I just want to knock out this base first to make sure it's all cool before I start on the top. So I'm going to go through with this 80 and give it a buzz around. So let's see how it goes. Don't know what sort of angle I got going there. Anyway, oh, hang on. Oh, that looks alright. So, like most things, if you're sanding, you need a mask. You can use one of those paper masks, but I actually find this more comfortable. And it's a small version, so it's not like the heavy painting one. So this is a good in-between mask. So, let's see. Oh, hang on. Oh no, not yet. I got something to do. Huh? Oh, I'm sanding. All right. I'm gonna have to edit this out of the video. Good thing it's good. Yeah. Hey, what? No, yeah. I was just recording, and I'll just take this out of it later. Right. Yeah. Okay. I'll be there. Bye. Oh, I don't know how much battery's left. Oh no. Oh well, we'll see, eh? Let's get this sanded. Whoa. Righto, where are we up to now? So I've sanded this right over with 80 grit. Had to do a little bits inside these corners and that with by hand, with a sandpaper by hand. You could sand this whole thing by hand if you don't have a air tool or an electric sander or whatever. You can just sand it by hand, you know, a bit of 80 or a bit of 120, whatever you got floating around, to get it scratched up. You just want to make sure you get all surfaces like this little back edge here that the sander didn't get. So I'm going to do a little bit by hand anyway. So yeah, you just want to get everything scuffed over nicely. And then you want to dust her off. And then I'm going to go through little areas like this. Little spot there and a little bit of grinder marks there, and just go through with a bit of normal body filler. If I use the 3M platinum stuff, but yeah, little fine cracks like that, that's fine. So that's what we'll do there. We will just run over it now, mix up a bit of filler, only a tiny bit really, and just go over a few spots to get it smooth. Then that can be sanded, and this part is ready for epoxy. That's what you want to use. I use Wattle macro epoxy. If you're in Australia, you'll be able to get this anyway. So it's a macro epoxy PR250. So that's the product you want on here. Well, we use it on all our metal and use it on everything, but it is great for fiberglass as well, so very versatile product. And that can be, the epoxy can be sanded and top coated straight up with the 2K direct loss. So easy peasy, two-stage process, the paint side of it, but we've just got to get this prepped up first. Righto. Right, we've got our fine filler on over the anything that was a little bit rough on it, and now it's the time to run the DA over it, smooth it over, and then this thing is done, ready for the primer. So might as well watch me do a bit of sanding. How exciting is that? Lucky you. Oh, snitty nose. So yeah, I talk about it all the time, DA. When I say DA, short for dual action, that means it oscillates. All right, it doesn't just spin by itself. It vibrates more so than it spins. So it just gives a finer finish than if it only span like a grinder. So. Oh. also with this tool, the DO, like you definitely want to have mask protection. There's some nasty stuff in bog and most paints. Yeah, but because of the nature of it, you don't really need eye protection, and hearing protection, it sort of depends. If you're inside a metal shed, then yeah, it could get quite loud, but out in the open here it's not too bad. So if you're doing a lot of it, a whole car sand it, then yeah, it's worthwhile having ear protection and definitely breathing. And if you're really worried about the dust in your eyes, I suppose you could wear goggles more so than safety glasses. So but basically this is, compared to grinding and cutting metal and that, this is pretty safe. Yeah, so right, we've finally got the top here. We're going to start by just getting a few things off it, like this edge strip stuff. Ooh. So yeah, this is the stuff that's pretty useless, because it's certainly, oh, hang on, I'm just going to sit you up here, because it's going to, because it doesn't have that padding underneath, it doesn't actually fill the gap all the way around. You would only use this stuff if you have no alternatives, but so there's definitely better options than this stuff. So that's the shape of it there. That slides in there, but you can get similar shape stuff to that, but it has a cushion on the bottom. That's what you want. So another odd thing with this one is this here. So I'm going to, I think we're leaving this in here, this hatch Yeah. But yeah, I'm gonna drill these out and remove this and then put a fiberglass patch on it. I think that's gonna be the go. And then we'll go through and check all the other areas. Looks like they had an awning down the side at one stage, which I don't recommend fitting awnings to pop tops. I prefer them independent, but other people will disagree, but that's okay. We're all individuals. So yeah, this is, I'm definitely going to put a little bit in here, I think. Usually, if it's right on the edge, the strip covers the bit at the bottom, so you only see this bit at the top, but you know, if we've got the fiberglass out, we might as well repair it properly. So not real sure on, I think this is being reused. We'll just have to find the lid for it. So this here will be, it's actually tempting to grind all these rivets off and then fiberglass over the top of it. That would be a way better way of going. So, oh, it's definitely aluminium, it's soft as buggery. So I think I might choose that option. Let's just have a quick look underneath. Oh! Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be the go. So I'll get started on that now. Right. Finally got all that cleaned up. So popped out the old handles as well, because you want to put nice handles under there and you want to have the bolt set up, you know, all stainless steel and whatever hardware going through. So I've cleaned up around this edge because I am gonna put fiberglass overlapping on that edge. I think that'll be good. What else? So this thing, yeah, that was quite the double layer of part that come up from the top and another part that sat over the top of that, come up from underneath, sat over the top. So yeah, I've removed both of those, scuffed over it so that any sort of resin or filler can adhere to that. I've scuffed the inside as well, so that should all be pretty much right to go, really. So I'll probably sand a bit more of the edges along here so that the fiberglass will stick to that, but I'm going to flip it upside down and put a layer of fiberglass on the inside first. That's the priority at this stage. So I'll probably let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'll do the top. I think that's definitely going to be the way to go. So yeah, raving baby. Okay, now where was my sandpaper? Just so that the fiberglass will definitely adhere to the side parts, I'll skim over this. Right, so although there's adhesive and all that around that little hatch, you want to remove any of it that's either on the aluminium or on the fiberglass so that we can do a seal over the top. Right, so that's cool. now I'll get a hand from Andrew to flip it. See how that goes. Just got to sort of see where it sits on the pop top. It should be okay. Oi. He's coming. Yeah, so here we are again. Repairs getting done, flying through them. So what we've got here is, that's where the chimney stack was. We've got this flipped upside down, obviously. And I've got just masked it up underneath with some tape, and that supports the fiberglass until it's set, which it's not far off being set. It's certainly drying pretty well. Now on this one, it had some chipboard. I don't know why they'd ever use chipboard, but that's what they had lying around, I guess. And the chipboard was sort of starting to rot and was very dry. Considering this is screwed through the chipboard, I know it's only there for like form and shape, but it still eventually rots away. So this is, I had some extra epoxy mixed up, so I brushed it over the chipboard, and that will actually prevent it from going any further. And this one was really bad across here, so basically, I got some fiberglass mesh and went over that, and right, these screws are all flipped out, so I'll put a bit over the top of that. So this all gets covered by material fabric. I'm not sure how we're going to go on this one. We may be, I think, putting some foam down and then have some material to glue directly to that. You do see the little lift of the profile there, but that sort of gives you a bit more room, a bit more headroom when this is you got this in the up position, because if you have a headliner fabric that goes across so that it's smooth, it might look a bit better, but you're actually losing a few inches of headroom there. So I reckon that would be the go. So yeah, just waiting for everything to dry. Well, it's going to be tomorrow now. It's already late in the day. So we're going to continue this. So I'll be able to flip this tomorrow. All the inside here will all be fine. And then we will, oh, there's a bit of that timber strip that goes all the way around. Like you can see here, the screws, it's just sort of moving a bit there. Oh yeah, so that one's got nuts on it. So you sort of need to have that fairly tight, because that's what your strips screw to. The aluminium strips that have the fabric wrapped around it. So, and that side along there is missing its timber strip, so we will, don't know whether it had one. We haven't really touched this. Oh, we did separate it. Might be around somewhere. If not, I'll just pick up some more of this thin timber and screw it through, bolt it up, and then it will be ready to upholster. I'll work on the top tomorrow, get it all prepped up and everything ready to prime. Should even get both of the tops primed. And then on this inside here, we usually just brush a bit of a coat on, because although you don't see much of it, if you're next to the van and you look up, then you will see this a little bit. So it's nice to have a bit of a coat on that. So Hey, Grego's back here with the Poptop therapy. Doing a bit of love on these quite old fiberglass pop tops. So what are we doing with it? Well, you've seen the repairs we had to do before, where that old hole was there. So you can see we've had it upside down and fiberglass that couple of layers, and now we've sanded the whole top just with some 80 grit on the DA. I actually used the big boy 8-inch bog buster. It's just a bit quicker, and then sort of use the 6-inch with the interface pad on it. It's a little bit better on the rounded areas. The pad keeps the sandpaper flatter. You end up with less ridges and all that in it. So went through and checked for any little holes and stuff in the gel coat, and see there's some handles going back here. We're only going to use 2 of those holes, so there's 2 there that we might have to fill yet, but yeah, I think we will. We'll probably just use these 2 here, and the other one that's cracked out will, yeah, cool. And we need to put a handle in the other side, so that'll be similar sort of deal. So, but what we need to do is go through and look for any chips and all that. Not too worried about this edge here because it gets covered by the oh, I can't think of the bloody name, you know, the rubber, what do they call it? I've gone blank, but anyway, this happens, so dementia's setting in. So yeah, the stuff that clips over there, and it's got the rubber cushion underneath it to sit on the roof, so it comes up the side a bit here. Yeah, so I really should just crack on with it. So when it gets to this stage, I use the PR250 epoxy. It's made by Wattle Industrial. So I'm going to do the inside of the paint a couple other things while I've got the epoxy out. Got a couple of cover strips here off Daisy, so I'll epoxy them at the same time. So yeah, at the moment it's just a matter of getting this smoothed up enough. It is fiberglass, so it's not, the finish on them are looking nice and shiny with paint on them and that, but they're not quite as shiny and smooth as the metal on the sides of the car. So, but it looks a sight better than a faded bloody top. So yeah, I'm just going through now and do a final touch up with filler, sand that back, and that's ready for epoxy. So that's the plan. That's how we do it. Yeah, so we use fiberglass matting on any big repairs or cracks, and then just some filler on the smaller stuff. So yeah, all right, I'll get back to it. Talk to you later. Yeah, Greg goes back. How are we looking now? How are we looking indeedy? Looking very smooth, very shiny. So we've got the bottom or the base out here. Hopefully it's not too glary for you. So that's looking really good. These holes here, oh, very glary. The screw, they're all just your standard screw holes. Might be better out here. Yeah, these holes are for the lifters. So we decided to paint the side of that aluminium strip because you actually see that, but you don't see the top, and this is sort of where the material is folded underneath it. I thought, well, instead of seeing that uneven black line, I've just sprayed over it. It doesn't matter, like it's irrelevant because the water doesn't get through there anyway. So there was a fair bit of silicone on the top of that, but we got it all masked up. So we've managed to prep and paint all this without getting anything on the sock, which was still in good condition. And this here, we had to cut that hole a bit bigger for the new hatch. So this was sanded, filled, resanded, epoxied, and then we just went around. There's a few little pinholes, you don't see it until it's got paint on it, and you can use just like a bit of this spot putty stuff, just Evercoat, Everglaze, and yeah, Everglaze and spot putty. So you just go around with a little knife and just wipe it here and there on the little pinholes. It's still difficult. It's not like steel of a car where everything's, you know, has got a smooth hardened surface from the factory. This fiberglass, as the gel coat and that wears over time, wears a bit thin and can expose little pinholes. So yeah, so that had just a couple of coats. I actually did use the 2.5mm tip gun for the primer, the PR250 epoxy. Put it on a really nice layer, like just don't muck around, get it on there. And then the next day, which was this morning, I sanded it just with some 240 actually on the DA. And that's what it gets, because like I said before, you're not going to finish this off to the same standard as the steel, as the rest of the car, because it gets polished and all the rest, whereas that's how it's finished and it looks perfectly fine. So you'd be crazy mad to get all your pop top trying to match the finish of the outside of the car, because fiberglass will never come up as smooth. Well, I guess you could, but you'd be ploughing heaps of polyester on there and then blocking it. Like if you've got a fiberglass car like a Corvette, obviously you're going to go to the effort because that's the outside of the car that you see. But for a pop top on a Kombi, that's it, that's all you need. So this has 3 coats of direct gloss. So this one is a Valspar 862. Yeah, 3 coats just layered on there thick. I use my normal 1.3 finishing gun on there, but full texture, no thinning it, just get it on as thick as possible so, you know, it lasts as long as possible too. So, you know, again, you'd be silly to use clear over base on a pop top. It's just overkill, unnecessary. So that looks really good, and it's going to match the top of the car, the rest of the car. Phoenix. So yeah, sorry, I know I really need to shave. It's not looking good. So anyway, I shall shave tonight. What's the story? Also, did I run through this on the video? Not sure whether I did. We better go through now and have a look at this hatch that the owner supplied, because I didn't have a whinge. I just said, oh, I think the old hatch is sort of disintegrated, perished. The aluminium was bent and the plastic was perished. So what we got here is this one here. So this is from TRA Trans Groove, whatever. So ordered online, got here very quick. So this goes in the top. So it's got a little see-through lid on it that winds up like a normal thing. There's a little wind-up handle that goes on there, and it lifts it up. The handle goes underneath there. But this has got a little fan, 12-volt fan. So you just click that button. So you could have that lifted up, click that button, and that creates a bit of flow through. Like if you were camping somewhere and it was a still environment and you were sleeping, you know, like if you had enough battery power to run that little fan, you would just have your windows open and have that fan on with the top up, and it would create a bit of airflow through. So yeah, this is cool. This is we've never fitted one of these before, but it's all very straightforward. You just got to put the seal around it, etc. And I've just got a box in underneath. It's designed for not just a flat sheet of fiberglass. It has the bottom box is, yeah, it sits about a little bit lower. So I actually got some hardwood timber that I'm going to cut into a square that will go underneath the fiberglass, and the top part will screw down onto the timber, and the bottom thing will sit up all flush on there. And then the trimmer can do his thing and make material join up with the side there. So that's what's happening there. Very happy with the way this has come up. It was far from a great pop top, but I've also seen worse ones. So really, it's certainly worth saving. It was pretty good. It had, you know, you saw the. You haven't seen it yet. I've got all the footage there, so I'm putting it on this video of how I repaired all the fiberglass, etc. So I think I'm going to just end the video here, and I'll put the video up, and I might get a general video of Phoenix when it's all finished.